The cold Montana air cut through the wilderness as Sarah stood at the riverbank, her auburn hair glinting in the soft morning light. At 25, she was the youngest member of the hiking group but carried a seasoned adventurer's spirit, as vibrant as the wildflowers dotting the landscape. This trip was her way of reconnecting with nature, seeking solace after the chaos of city life and the end of a tumultuous relationship. The hiking group, led by Jake, a seasoned guide known for his sharp instincts, had camped near a serene waterfall the previous night. The rhythmic sound of rushing water had lulled Sarah to sleep, a comforting contrast to the bustling noise that filled her days back in the city. Now, as dawn's soft hues painted the sky, Sarah felt a rare sense of peace. Her camera, always ready to capture nature's fleeting beauty, hung around her neck as she ventured further from the camp, drawn by the glistening morning dew on a patch of bluebells near the river. Jake's earlier reminder to stay close to the campsite echoed faintly in her mind, but the allure of nature's vivid palette silenced her caution. She adjusted her lens, carefully framing the perfect shot, when her foot slipped on a loose rock. With a startled cry, Sarah tumbled into the icy river, the cold water wrapping her in a merciless grip. The current, swift and relentless, dragged her downstream. Panic surged as she flailed, desperately reaching for something to halt her descent. Her mind flashed with memories of her childhood, her father's laughter during their fishing trips, her mother's reassuring touch. Not like this, she thought fiercely. Adrenaline surged as she kicked against the current, her limbs growing heavy and numb. The roar of the approaching waterfall grew louder, a harbinger of impending doom. Just as her strength faltered, a dark silhouette appeared on the riverbank. A bear, massive and majestic, stood watching her struggle. Terror gripped Sarah, her heart pounding like a drum. The current dragged her closer, and she braced for the worst. But instead of attacking, the bear stepped into the water with powerful strides, defying the torrent. Before Sarah could comprehend what was happening, the bear reached her. She closed her eyes, waiting for the inevitable, only to feel a firm tug on her jacket. The bear was pulling her to safety. The jagged rocks of the riverbank scraped against her as the bear dragged her ashore. Gasping for breath, Sarah lay shivering, her body trembling from the cold and shock. The bear loomed over her, its dark eyes intense yet oddly gentle. A scar ran across its snout, a mark of survival in the wild. Despite its fearsome appearance, its presence felt protective, even comforting. "Thank you," Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible. The bear tilted its head slightly, almost as if acknowledging her words. It stepped back, giving her space. Slowly, Sarah sat up, wincing as a sharp pain shot through her arm, likely sprained. Her legs bore scrapes and bruises, but she was alive. As if sensing her vulnerability, the bear nudged her gently with its massive snout. Sarah's fear began to dissipate, replaced by an inexplicable connection to the creature. Leaning on the bear for support, she managed to stand, her hand brushing against its thick, warm fur. The unexpected warmth contrasted sharply with the river's icy grip. The bear began to walk, and Sarah, still unsteady, clung to its side. It guided her along the riverbank, away from the treacherous waters. As they moved, she marveled at its strength and grace. It was as if the bear understood her plight, her fragility. When the campsite's tents came into view, Sarah's relief was overshadowed by apprehension. How would the group react? Panic could endanger both her and the bear. Jake emerged from one of the tents, his binoculars clutched tightly as he scanned the area. His gaze locked onto Sarah and the massive creature beside her. His eyes widened in shock, and he fumbled for his radio. "Wait!" Sarah called out, her voice trembling but urgent. "It's okay! He saved me!" The campsite erupted in activity as others emerged from their tents. Fear was evident in their wide eyes. Some scrambled for bear spray, while others stood frozen. Sarah raised her uninjured arm, attempting to calm them. "Please, don't hurt him. He's not a threat." Her words hung in the air, met with skepticism. The bear, unfazed by the commotion, stood protectively beside her. It let out a low growl, a sound that silenced the murmurs and anchored everyone's focus. Jake, ever cautious, approached slowly. "Sarah, are you hurt?" "I'm okay," she replied, her voice steadier now. "But I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him." She gestured toward the bear, her tone firm despite her exhaustion. The group listened intently as Sarah recounted her ordeal. Their fear gradually gave way to awe. The bear, once a symbol of danger, transformed into a savior in their eyes. Jake radioed the park rangers, explaining the unusual situation with a mix of caution and reverence. When the rangers arrived, they found not a chaotic standoff, but a scene of peaceful coexistence. Ranger Thompson, a veteran with years of experience, listened to Sarah's story, his skepticism fading into amazement. Observing the bear's calm demeanor, he decided against relocation, choosing instead to monitor the situation closely. The bear, which Sarah affectionately named Ben, became a local legend, a testament to the unpredictable beauty of the wilderness. Sarah's bond with Ben deepened in the following weeks. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, advocating for wildlife conservation and sharing her extraordinary story. The sanctuary that eventually formed around Ben became a haven for understanding and respect between humans and nature. Sarah's life, once filled with uncertainty, found direction through her connection with the creature that had saved her. As word of Sarah's story spread, local news outlets took notice, and her tale of survival and connection with Ben gained widespread attention. People from nearby towns began visiting the area, curious about the bear that had defied its wild instincts to save a human life. This attention brought both opportunities and challenges. Sarah found herself mediating between those who saw Ben as a miracle of nature and others who viewed his presence as a potential danger. Community debates intensified, leading to a town hall meeting organized by Sarah and Jake. With Ben's presence as the focal point, the meeting drew a diverse crowd: wildlife enthusiasts, skeptics, and concerned citizens. Sarah stood before them, her voice steady as she recounted her experience once more, emphasizing the need for coexistence with nature. She appealed to their shared humanity and their responsibility as stewards of the land. "This isn't just about Ben," she said, her voice carrying the weight of her conviction. "It's about all of us learning to live alongside the wild instead of fearing it. We owe it to future generations to protect what makes this world extraordinary." The meeting concluded with a tentative agreement to support Sarah's efforts in establishing a wildlife sanctuary. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in Sarah's journey. The sanctuary became a place not only for Ben, but also for other animals in need of care. Local volunteers joined Sarah in creating an environment where wildlife could thrive safely, while allowing people to learn about the delicate balance of ecosystems. Ranger Thompson and a team of biologists conducted studies on Ben, documenting his behavior and interactions with humans. Their findings revealed unique insights into the capacity of wild animals to form bonds under extraordinary circumstances. This research gained traction in academic circles, further solidifying the sanctuary's reputation as a hub for education and conservation. One evening, as Sarah sat by the river reflecting on the transformation of her life, she heard a familiar rustle in the trees. Ben emerged, his massive frame illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun. He approached her calmly, his dark eyes filled with an unspoken understanding. Sarah reached out, her hand resting on his scarred snout, a symbol of his resilience. "You've changed my life, Ben," she whispered, "and I'll make sure your story inspires others." Ben huffed softly, a sound Sarah had come to interpret as his way of acknowledging her words. As they sat together, the boundary between human and wild seemed to blur, replaced by a bond that defied explanation. It was a moment of profound peace, a reminder of the beauty that exists in unexpected connections. The sanctuary flourished over the years, becoming a beacon of hope for wildlife conservation. Sarah dedicated her life to its growth, ensuring that Ben's legacy lived on. Her story, once one of survival, evolved into a testament to the power of compassion and the enduring connection between humans and the natural world. Sarah's sanctuary began to attract visitors from around the country. Families came to see the infamous bear who had saved a young woman's life, and schools planned trips to teach children about conservation. Ben, despite his wild instincts, seemed to understand his role as an ambassador of the wilderness. He often appeared at the edges of his enclosure when groups arrived, his presence drawing awe and admiration from all who saw him. One day, a wildlife photographer named Amelia visited the sanctuary. She had heard of Ben and Sarah's incredible story and hoped to capture the essence of their bond in her photographs. As she set up her camera, She observed Sarah feeding Ben, her movements gentle yet confident. Amelia was struck by the trust between them, a connection that seemed to transcend words. "Sarah," Amelia called out, "would you mind if I interviewed you? I want to share your story with a broader audience." Sarah hesitated. She had never sought fame or recognition, only wanting to protect Ben and raise awareness about conservation. But she realized the potential of reaching a wider audience, of inspiring others to care for the natural world. "Of course," Sarah replied, her voice steady. "If it helps people understand the importance of coexistence, I'd be happy to share." Amelia's photographs and Sarah's interview were published in a renowned nature magazine, sparking renewed interest in the sanctuary. Donations poured in, allowing Sarah to expand the sanctuary's facilities. New enclosures were built for other animals in need, and a small visitor center was established to educate people about the interconnectedness of ecosystems. As the sanctuary grew, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility deepen. One afternoon, while reviewing plans for a new rehabilitation wing, she received a call from Ranger Thompson. His tone was serious, and Sarah's heart tightened as she listened. A young grizzly had been spotted near a nearby highway, dangerously close to human activity. The situation needed immediate attention, and Sarah was the first person Thompson thought to call. "I'll be there as soon as I can," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. When she arrived at the scene, she saw the young bear pacing nervously near the road. Cars slowed, some passengers taking pictures, others shouting, adding to the bear's distress. Sarah's years of working with Ben had taught her the importance of calm energy. She instructed the onlookers to back away and give the bear space. Thompson and his team set up a perimeter while Sarah approached slowly, speaking softly to the frightened animal. "It's okay," she murmured, her voice soothing. "We're here to help." The bear paused, its ears twitching at the sound of her voice. With the help of a tranquilizer administered by the rangers, the bear was safely sedated and transported to the sanctuary. Sarah named the young grizzly Aspen, after the trees that lined the Montana mountains. Aspen's arrival marked a new chapter for the sanctuary, as Sarah and her team worked tirelessly to rehabilitate the bear and prepare it for a safe return to the wild. Ben, ever the gentle giant, seemed to take Aspen under his wing. Watching the two bears interact brought Sarah a deep sense of fulfillment. She often sat by their enclosure, marveling at the resilience of these creatures and the lessons they offered about survival, trust, and the unbreakable bond between humans and nature. Years passed, and the sanctuary grew into a renowned center for wildlife conservation. Sarah, now in her 40s, often reflected on the day she fell into the river and the bear that changed her life. Her story had inspired countless others to see the wild not as something to fear, but as something to protect and cherish. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves painted the landscape in hues of gold and crimson, Sarah took her usual walk through the sanctuary. She paused by Ben's enclosure, watching him bask in the sunlight. Nearby, Aspen, now a strong and confident bear, played with a log, preparing for its eventual release back into the wild. As Sarah stood there, a sense of profound gratitude washed over her. The sanctuary, the bears, and the people who had joined her on this journey were all part of a story she could never have imagined. It was a story of survival, compassion, and the enduring connection between humans and the natural world. The sanctuary's motto, etched on a plaque near the entrance, captured the essence of Sarah's journey. In protecting them, we protect ourselves.